Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you recently dyed your hair, this video is for you. Because guess what? I recently dyed my hair. No, this is not my natural hair color. Dyeing your hair a different color, whether it's super vibrant, it can make you need to adjust the rest of your makeup, particularly your eyebrows, okay? My eyebrows look gray right now against this hair. For context, anyone who might be new to my channel, I was like a platinum blonde for like almost 7 years. I think like 6.5 years. No, 6 years? 6.5 years. So more cool toned colors were typically what I was going for, cooler toned brows. That all changed when I dyed my hair copper, and this is the first time that I have done this kind of thing. So we gotta switch it up. This month I am doing all drugstore content, so this is going to focus around drugstore products, but if you want to see a version of this with my typical, like my favorite brow products, let me know if you want that version as well. I'm happy to do that. But you can easily accomplish this with drugstore. So let's talk about it. So the tricks that I'm gonna be sharing with you today are especially important if you have very vibrant hair, like if the color is more saturated. Now there's two different types, basically, two different angles you can go. If you have like bright green hair, okay, and you have like naturally black hair, so you have like black roots, and you wanna do like dark black eyebrows, dope, love. You know what I mean? Like even if your hair is like freshly bleached and colored vibrant green and you have black eyebrows, love, go for it. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to look natural with the vibrant green because like obviously the vibrant green isn't natural. You know what I mean? So like it's gonna depend on what your preference is. But if you're somewhere in between, like I am, where I have this vibrant coppery red hair now and my natural coloring is kind of like a blonde, I guess, if I could say, you know. Honestly, I haven't seen it in a really long time. I don't actually know, but somewhere around a blonde. And that's pretty much where my eyebrows are. You want to think about it in two different ways. So let's just get straight into it, dude. Let's just get into it. First, in terms of technique, I like to do an even fill underneath the brow hairs to kind of like create a cohesive shape, all right? Now, I like to use a light color for this, okay? I am going to use multiple brow products. This is just what you gotta do to get like the most beautiful 3D dimensional looking eyebrows, all right? This is what you gotta do. So when you're talking about colors, when you're talking about different colors that you're gonna be using for your eyebrows, you wanna look obviously to your hair. So if we take a look at my hair, I have like kind of like a reddish, slightly more reddish base to the copper, and then the highlights in it are slightly more golden. That's at least what I'm going for, you know what I mean? Like I want it to be slightly more golden. If we look up here, like that's like a little bit more golden. So that's what I'm gonna use as the colors that I'm gonna be putting in my brows. So I don't have like a brow powder or a brow pencil, unfortunately, that I would use for this. Typically, got an eyelash on my nose. Typically for this technique, I like to use a warm blonde brow pencil. But you can absolutely do this with powder, so just know that you have options. I'm actually gonna be using eyeshadow today. So this is the e.l.f. Ombre 10. Oh God, there's so many names on here. This is the e.l.f. Perfect 10 eyeshadow in Summer Breeze, I believe. The sticker is as small as possible. So we have a nice range of warm tones in here. So since I like the highlights of my hair to look a little bit more golden, and I want to bring out more gold in my look overall because I have a pale, warm olive skin tone, I'm going to start off with this color right here, which is like quite ochre, okay? So I'm just gonna use, what am I gonna use? Like a little flat brush, I guess? I just have this little flat brush, it's from Sigma. A little synthetic flat brush. I'm gonna tap into this ochre. It's backwards. Oh, yep, right there. Into this like light ochre. And I'm gonna use this for the base of my eyebrow. Now you can see that like my eyebrows are nothing super special on their own. They need some help, especially this one. So I'm not gonna worry too much about everything, about like fully filling them. I'm not gonna focus too hard on like the super sparse areas. I'm literally just gonna do this underneath all of the brow hairs. So you can see I'm just kind of going back and forth buffing it underneath. So we're kind of creating like a, it sounds silly to call it a shadow because it's so warm toned, but I'm creating sort of a shadow underneath the color. What? Underneath the brow hairs. Now, this is actually a little bit more vibrant than what I typically use. So it's going to depend very heavily on what you have access to. I would, if I had like a blonde, just like a regular blonde brow pencil that was drugstore, that's what I would use, but I don't have that right now. So I'm improvising. So just buffing, taking my time, making sure that I have this underneath all the hairs. Obviously that has warmed up quite a bit already. Look at that. Like the color is so much more cohesive already than this. Like that looks straight up gray. Ooh, all right, so we're already making progress. Just want to make sure that it's nice and even. And since this is a lighter shadow, I'm taking it close in. Okay, love. And one of the benefits of having vibrant hair is that you probably can find an eyeshadow that will work. Now this is probably going to work best for like copper tones, red tones, auburn, eggplant. There's a lot of eggplant happening right now. Purpley toned hair if you want your eyebrows to match. This is gonna be so good for you, but this will also work if you have black hair, like artificially black hair that has like a little bit more of like a blue toned highlight. If you have that, then you obviously want to be using like a cool toned grayish color that's a little bit lighter than your brow hairs. So like I said, this color itself, this eyeshadow, is a little bit more vibrant than the blonde that I typically use. When I use the blonde, typically, I will go in with an auburn brow tint pen afterwards, but I don't really need that because of how much warmth this is provided. I'm just gonna put a little bit more in the front of this brow because it's just like so bald right there. You know, I hate how uneven brows are, but they're really not meant to be. Embrace your imperfections or your not symmetry. Your asymmetry is what I wanted to say. Your not symmetry. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to set my brow hairs because I have a nice cohesive fill throughout the brow. I'm gonna set my brow hairs with a little bit of soap. This is the Pears soap. I get it on Amazon. It smells like ginger. I really like it. Doesn't really smell like ginger anymore. And then I'm just gonna use any spoolie and a little bit of water. You just wanna make a little bit of a paste. I use a setting spray because it's what I have access to. I'm not getting up to go to the bathroom. It's too far away. It's right there. Pears soap is super accessible though. Like you can get it on Amazon. You can get it in a lot of pharmacies, so it's around. So I'm gonna brush this up through the brow hairs. And while I do this, I just want to kind of reinforce that like, even if you don't have particularly vibrant hair, if you've just been, maybe it's your natural hair or you just have like highlights and you've been struggling with making your eyebrows look like they fit with you overall, then just kind of keep in mind, like, what do the highlights, like what color are the highlights? Like, is your hair more cool toned? Do you have cooler toned highlights? Well, then you want to use a cooler tone that's lighter underneath your brow hairs for this like cohesive fill. Do you have warmer toned hair? Are your highlights more golden? Then maybe you want to use a slightly more golden base, you know? Obviously for blondes, it can be really difficult because a lot of products end up pulling way too, like they basically will look like this, which is great for me now. They end up being really, really warm. Okay, so I'm just going to let this set. Now let's talk about the next step. So because my natural brow hair color is more cool toned, you can kind of see that like my brows were more, they're more filled. Like I have more brow hairs in the front part of my brow, which is kind of like the opposite of what you want. You want it to be a little bit more defined on the outer perimeter. Otherwise it can make you look really angry, which like, you know, not necessarily a bad thing. Because my natural brow hair color is more cool toned, I want to, and I have this like warm tone underneath, I want to make sure that I'm using a cool toned color now to add in the sparse areas, to add individual brow hairs in the sparse areas. So I don't want it to be too warm because what's going to happen is now that I have this like orangey color underneath my brows, if I go in with an auburn brow tint pen, which I have from NYX, which is great, which is what I usually use, it's going to just make my, like that outer perimeter of my brows look like red. I'm trying to fill in those gaps right now. So instead, I'm going to use ash brown and gray black. I'm gonna start off with ash brown, and I'm going to use this to start to really fill in the areas that are extremely sparse. Okay, now ash brown is a really beautiful, oh, look at that already. So, oh, it's so good. Okay, really beautiful color. It's also going to, now that we're kind of like layering on top, it's going to tone down the orange. So if you were, when I put that shadow down, if you were freaking out, trust me, I know what I'm doing here, okay? This is what I do. Oh my God. This is actually, this might be, I might actually like this better than what I have been doing. Look at that. I love it. All right, same thing over here. If you have never used a brow pen, my favorites are the NYX ones. That's why I have like 400 of them. They're so good. They have a range of color. You just need a really, really light hand so that it's going to be like a nice feathery kind of like thin line if you hold it more straight or perpendicular against your skin. The flatter you place it against your skin, the more product is going to come out, the thicker the line is going to be. So I like to kind of do something in between. And then I'm kind of like angling it a little bit more as I get to sparser areas. Make sure you're Look at how short that tail is. Make sure you're stopping and looking. Trying to get things even here. Or as even as possible. Beautiful. I love that. Now, I could just stop here. In this part of my, because I like basically drew that tail completely new, I'm just gonna use a little bit of auburn. Just, yeah, right there. Just a little blend over that. And just here, drawing in a couple extra hairs. Again, just so it's cohesive. Look at that difference. Is that so crazy? And now if I felt like I needed a little bit more contrast, I would probably have gone in with gray black, which is what it sounds like, gray black. It's quite dark, but I think the ash brown actually did a really nice job. I think I'm just gonna, I messed up the tail a little bit. It like goes, I'm just gonna fix that a little. Okay, so can you see how much better? I probably should have just done one brow so you can see a side by side, but do you see how much better this looks overall? I'll just try to pop in like a before photo or something, or a slow-mo with my hair color. Everything looks like cohesive, you know? And I improvised a little bit. I was using eyeshadow. Get creative. If you have an eyeshadow that works with your brow color perfectly, use it. I did that for so many years. I used like a NYX single eyeshadow for so many years because I couldn't find a brow product that I liked. There's a lot of options these days. I will link my favorite brow products down below, just for anyone who is like curious. I mostly use MAC. And let me know if you want to see this concept the way that I typically do it with non-drugstore products. It'll just come in August, okay? Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was very helpful. I can't imagine it's not, because when you dye your hair a different color, you really realize like, oh damn, my like eyebrows make no sense right now. Like I've had to adjust my makeup a little bit, but mostly my eyebrows, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one. I was gonna say next time and next one. I'm gonna go.